If I'm being honest with you guys, I don't really care about fighting games all that much. I enjoy them, sure. However, they're not a genre of game that I play all that often. I play my fair share of fighting games like Skullgirls, Marvel vs. Capcom, Injustice, Brawlhalla, etc. You know what I'm saying? However, the two fighting games that I've played the most in my lifetime, in my opinion, just absolutely eclipse the other fighting games. And those two games are Mortal Kombat X and Super Smash Bros. Melee. I'm going to discuss both of these games in much more detail later on in the video, but I just want to state the main thing both of these games have in common. And the reason why I love them so much is that of the fast movement and the overall amazing mix-ups and 50-50s that you can give to your opponents. And I want to talk about Mortal Kombat X first of all because it's the one that I have the most amount of personal experience with. Mortal Kombat X is the 10th Mortal Kombat game to ever come out. Released on April 13th, 2015, it was released on the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 consoles as the first Mortal Kombat game to ever release on the new-gen consoles. Hot take, by the way, I think this is the best Mortal Kombat game to ever exist. For one, it introduced one of the best things ever introduced in Mortal Kombat games, which are variations. Variations were just more ways to play a certain character. Like, for example, Scorpion has a variant where he can summon a demon to help him attack, or a variant that allows him to use swords to help increase his range. The gameplay in MKX is so fluid and quick that it's sometimes really hard to comprehend. The one mechanic that helps with the speed of MKX is the run mechanic, returning from Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. By tapping forward in either RT or R2 depending on what console you're playing on, you start running at your opponent. While running, you can do anything while in it. You can do strings, you can block, grab, special moves, etc. Not only does this help with the approaching and making the game look so much faster, but with the element known as special move canceling, you can create a whole new opportunity of movement with your characters. Let's go back to Scorpion. For his third variation, Hellfire, you can shoot a fireball, hit your opponent with unblockable Hellfire, and cast yourself in a flaming aura. Going back to the fireball, however, if you hold the button that initiates the fireball animation, you can charge the move. Now, charging it this long doesn't increase the damage or anything, but that's not the point I'm trying to make. When holding down the fireball, you can run cancel the fireball animation. With this, you can apply extra pressure to your blocking opponent, you can hit them with different mix-ups, or you can even extend your combos to do extra damage. Now I want to talk about the overall balance of it all. Balance in fighting games is relatively hard because of the simple fact that I don't believe developers know what moves to buff and what moves to nerf. And it doesn't help that most people in fighting games that complain about moves are casuals that don't know the proper counterplay to those moves. So if the developers listen to those casuals and nerf those moves, that character will be worse off. That's why I personally believe that pros should have dictatorship over what moves should be nerfed and what moves should be buffed, because they obviously have the most amount of time in the game and can make reasonable, proper claims for those moves, getting the results that they need. With that being said, though, I believe that Mortal Kombat X is one of the most balanced fighting games that has ever existed because of the simple fact that you can win with any character in the game if you're skilled enough at that character. Every character has their strengths and weaknesses, but more times than not, the strengths of certain characters are so good that you sometimes forget about their weaknesses because of their amazing strengths. Let me give you an example. Ferritor is a relatively low tier character compared to the rest of the roster, and it's not completely difficult to see why. I mean, just look at Tor. Sure, he's a hulking beast of a character, but that also means that his hurt box is massive. He has no real projectile to zone you out, and is massive combo food due to his large hurt box. He doesn't even have the run or walk speed to escape you, and the frame data on his normals is slow compared to the rest of the cast. But here's the thing, that's literally most to all of his flaws. Because of Pharaoh, a lot of Ferritor's normals have insanely good range that allows you to hit your opponent without you realizing it and setting them up for combos. Also, remember when I told you that Tor is a hulking beast of a character? I'm dead serious. These guys have some of the best damage output in the game. Check out this random combo that I found out with his Ruthless variation when playing online. Guys, that's literally over half of his health bar. Keep in mind, I don't play Ferritor all that much. I pick them up every now and then to have fun with them, but they're not a character I'd play in order to win. Therefore, I don't know all of their moves and combos by heart. So if I can do this, then imagine what a person who dedicates their whole life in playing Ferritor can do with the character. My point is that yes, every character has flaws, but that doesn't make them all completely terrible and unusable. Every character in this game has a relatively high skill ceiling, But some characters do have a much higher skill ceiling than other characters, and those characters are arguably the best characters in the game. Take Tremor for example. Tremor is considered a top 5 to top 3 character in the game for a variety of reasons. He has some of the best specials in the game. He can zone you out in a multitude of ways. He has 50/50s for days and has amazing strings that can all set you up for combos. Like a lot of the top tier characters, he has a bunch of extra tools that make him just an overall better player than 90% of the roster. In his metallic variation, it's practically 2 playstyles in one. In his gold skin, all of Tremor's attacks are projectile based. His cutter, his ball, and his special cancelable move can all be hurled at the opponent. This gives Tremor a plethora of options to stall and zone his opponents in any way he pleases to. But let's shed this gold armor, however, and switch to the magma part of this variation. This part of Tremor's moveset is pretty much the complete opposite of his gold variation. Tremor's moves either set you up to extend combos or restit your opponent into restarting combos. This variation of Tremor just adds on to his amazing base kit in more ways than others. The Aftershock variation does this as well. Tremor has access to Air Earth Shake. This move allows him to approach his enemies very safely without any real counter besides his opponent jumping with him. He also gets the grounded Earth Shake, and this move is pretty interesting. You set a hitbox that hits the opponent after 2 seconds, and what this does is allow Tremor to apply a lot of pressure on his opponent with his amazing 50/50s that are very hard to block and sometimes impossible to block. Tremor also has the Rock Toss that functions very similarly. The only difference is that it's an overhead, meaning the opponent has to block a different way in order to counter it. All of this together makes this variation a 50/50 hell to fight against. Finally, we have the crystalline version. For starters, the only move in his base kit that changes is the special cancelable rock that he has. It has some very interesting properties when enhanced that send your opponent in for many different combos. Now this is where things get very interesting, however. Summon Crystal is a move where Tremor can summon a crystal and use it like a stage hazard. You can jump off of it, you can throw it at your opponent, you can do a bunch with the crystal. It's a pretty solid move for zoning out your opponent. But ladies and gentlemen, this move is not the reason why people choose crystalline variation over all of Tremor's other variations. Let's talk about crystallization. This move allows Tremor to cloak himself in this veil that allows him to take less damage from one move, and if you enhance it, he takes no damage from a single move. Now on paper, that sounds really strong, but this is where things get a bit crazy. So along with taking less to no damage with crystallization, your animation for taking said damage changes as well. For example, look what happens when Kodokan over here tries to counterattack me. Now look what happens when I use crystallization. Yeah, sure, it doesn't seem crazy. However, I forgot to mention something. You can attack when you get hit with crystallization, meaning if timed properly, you can take your opponent's armored move away from them and keep applying pressure with a character who has a top 3 to top 5 combo game. Tremor in this game is absolutely ludicrous and easily has potential to be the best character in the game due to all the tools that he has at his disposal. He also shows the gap between a really good character to a really low to mid tier character. As a matter of fact, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not done talking about character potential. Let's talk about Sonic Fox and Aaron Black. At the beginning of Mortal Kombat X's meta, Aaron Black was widely considered to be a mid to low tier character in the game. At the time, people didn't really see the potential with him, and his mechanics were, to say the least, unrefined or undeveloped in the community. That is, until Sonic Fox picked him up and completely turned him into a top 3 to top 5 character for the first months of Mortal Kombat. You see, Sonic Fox is probably one of, if not the greatest fighting game player to ever pick up Mortal Kombat X, and also one of the greatest fighting game players of all time. Therefore, it's not really that much of a surprise that he found the potential in a character that many people didn't see the potential in. Right now, Aaron Black is considered a mid to high tier character thanks to Sonic Fox's amazing developments as a player, but this goes to show us two things. The first is that Sonic Fox is an amazing fighting game player, and second, this game's skill ceiling is insanely high. This is generally the one game that where if you lose, you can go back and see how you messed up and how you can fix or adjust to how you lost. Also, here's some real-time proof that being really proficient in one character can make you amazing. So check out my guy that I met online named Manric09. He's a really proficient reptile player, and we played about 9 matches online together. And he won 5 out of the 9 matches with just reptile, while I had to switch characters multiple times in order to get my wins against him. Again, this is just to show how much proficiency that you can have in one character and still succeed and be dominant. In this game, if you're better than your opponent, you're just better than them and they can't beat you. And Manric here got the best of me out of 9 matches. Here's one really small thing that I wanted to comment on about this game. I quite enjoy the crypt. The crypt is the main way to get most of Mortal Kombat X's unlockable content, from the brutalities to the fatalities to the different costumes, concept art, etc. You go around to different areas on the map, spending coins to open up tombs to unlock cosmetics. Most of it has been imported from Mortal Kombat 9's crypt, but I think they made it better just because of the very eerie atmosphere they were going with in this game. Real big fan of the adventure aspect of the game, and a little disappointed that something similar like this hasn't returned in the games in any similar way. I don't know where else to speak about the crypt, so I decided to just throw it here arbitrarily. Another thing that I love about Mortal Kombat X is how diverse and different the characters are from one another. Not one character in this game plays similar to another at all, even if they fall under a similar archetype, like for example, Kotal Khan, Ferritor, Predator, and even Goro all fall under the slow but hard-hitting character archetype. But their movesets are so different and so diverse from one another that you don't even realize that they all have that similar archetype, and I absolutely love that for this game. It really shows the love and diversity that these devs gave into this game and its characters. And speaking on that creativity and diversity of its characters, that same love can be found in the diversity of these combos. Like, just take a little marvel at the combos of these characters. This is generally one of the most polished fighting games ever created. The characters, the combos, the gameplay, every single portion of this game in regards to the gameplay, I absolutely love. Now that is my portion of Mortal Kombat X. Now it's time for me to transition to my other game, Super Smash Bros. Melee. Quick question for you guys. When you hear the word Super Smash Bros. Melee, what exactly comes to mind for you guys? Some people say iconic, others say overrated, and even the most in-tune people will say rushed development cycle. And I think Melee is all of those things, but it's also technical brilliance. Released on November 21st, 2001 on the GameCube, Super Smash Bros. Melee is one of, if not the most iconic fighting games of all time. And it's not too hard to see why. The game's most iconic moments come from its blistering pace or its funny-ass commentary from the spectators, and moments like these are the reason why I personally believe it's an all-time great video game. With only 13 months of developmental time, which is why people think that this game has a very rushed development, which it is, okay? For the uninitiated, 13 months is not enough time to properly create a video game. HAL Laboratory, though, and Nintendo have made such interesting decisions when it comes to making this game that have turned Super Smash Bros. Melee into one of the most developed and advanced fighting games to ever exist. There are so many techs in Melee, but I'm only going to cover two in this video, and that's wave dashing and L canceling. Wave dashing is when a character air dodges into the ground and gains speed and momentum on your opponent. While wave dashing, you can grab your opponent, attack, special move, etc. This is very good for spacing out your opponent and getting to them quicker. Or if you're a character like Luigi or Ice Climbers, you can rush down or run away from your opponent for most of the game. Wave dashing might be the most iconic part of Melee, and is probably the most iconic tech in all of gaming, but in my opinion, it's not the most important tech in the game. That goes to L canceling. While doing an aerial move, if you press L, R, or Z, you can cancel the landing lag that your character gets from doing the aerial. This obviously makes your character very fast and more reactable to do more things. A good L cancel could mean the difference between you dying or you getting away from your opponent and countering them. L canceling is the tech in the game because of its amazing versatility and necessity in a game as fast-paced as Melee. Now, this is the part of the video where I might get a little bit of pushback from, but I genuinely believe that Melee is one of, if not the most competitively advanced game that ever existed. With a game that's about as 24 years old, you'd think there wouldn't be as many advancements into the game as there are, but Jesus Christ, man, you would not believe what people have found out about this game. People are still making advances in the game with characters people seem to deem terrible back then, but they've made such incredible progression with them, they're considered amazing nowadays. A perfect example of this is Donkey Kong. A couple of years ago, and by couple I mean like probably like 10, 12 years ago, Donkey Kong was considered like a bottom 10 character due to certain struggles like him being very big and having a massive hurtbox. And the fact that he has a hurtbox on his tie for some reason does not help his case either. However, a player by the name of Junebug has looked past all of these problems and has made DK a top 10 to possibly a top 8 character due to his grab game and very strong aerials. Similar to my point MKX, yes, these characters in Melee have flaws, but the better player will always beat the better character, if that makes sense. Another example of a low tier character being played at high levels is Link. Link, like Donkey Kong, has some pretty glaring problems, with two of them being his recovery and his overall movement/speed. However, he has some pretty interesting qualities like his range with his sword, along with the projectiles that he has, and his Nair being absolutely broken, by the way. People have been using Link as a surprise pick to catch their opponents off guard because of the unusual tools that he has compared to the other top tier characters, like his down air and his bombs, and since he's considered low tier, many people don't take the time to learn about Link and his different tools. I must say it is very refreshing seeing all these new low tier characters being used by high tier players and not just seeing another Falco, Fox, Jigglypuff, or Mar for like the 1,000th time. With all that being said, however, all the fast-paced things like the text, the movement, it all comes at a price. And that price is that Melee is extremely hard to play. Unlike most installments of Super Smash Bros. And fighting games in general, Super Smash Bros. Melee has little to no buffer in it, meaning that you have to put in your inputs as precisely as possible or they're not gonna come out the way you think. This makes it extremely difficult to pull off certain moves or combos because of the physical constraints that the game has. Here's an example. You know what dashing is, right? In other Smash Bros. Games, all you have to do is just move the analog stick in the direction that you want to make your character dash. In Melee, the movement is a bit stricter. Because of the no buffer mechanic to store the input of your moves, if you don't move the analog stick frame perfectly, you'll just start to walk in that direction. The fact that you have to be frame perfect in order to do such basic tasks such as dashing is what mainly puts people off from playing Melee. If you manage to get past this small barrier, however, I personally believe that you will get the best gameplay in the whole Smash Bros. Series. We have to talk about Fox McCloud in this game. Guys, if I talked about how I love fighting games and Fox McCloud is not in this conversation, especially about Melee, you know I'd mess up as a content creator, okay? You guys probably already know how good Fox McCloud is in this game, and I'm definitely going to be talking about that in this part of the video. However, I also want to try to convey you that yes, even though he is the best character in this game, he's not without his faults and he's not 100% completely broken. For starters, his lasers are probably some of the best projectiles in the game. They're very fast and rack up a lot of damage if not avoided. They're one of the best zoning tools in the game, and they can force you into some very uncomfortable positions. His up air kills at really dumb percentages, his back air has really good knockback, down air does solid damage, and is a solid combo move. Up smash also kills at dumb percentages, and of course, Shine. Oh my god, Fox Reflector is probably the best move in the game. It's also, I personally believe this, but it's also better than Falco's Reflector. Both Reflectors come out in frame 1, the fastest a move can ever come out. Along with this, you get a frame of invincibility to keep you safe. Also, when you hit your opponent with Fox's Reflector, they get hit with a lot of hit stun and get hit at a certain angle. On top of being able to jump cancel the Reflector, you can do insane combos and follow-ups. Now, these are the reasons why Fox is a really good character, but even with all these small tools, he's not completely busted. For one, he's very susceptible to getting comboed because of his fast falling speed. Players with good grab games like Marth can absolutely destroy Fox by just repeatedly grabbing him on FD. Along with that, he's quite lightweight, so he dies relatively early. My point is that yes, Fox is amazing and is pretty comfortably the best character in the game, but to say that he's completely broken with no weaknesses is a little disingenuous. Now, Meta Knight from Brawl is an example of a broken character with no weaknesses or counterplay. Melee always gets the stigma that it only has like 5 or 6 characters that are viable, but in reality, people have made so many advancements in the meta and its characters that it's possible to win with almost any character, even the worst characters like Kirby or Bowser. If you guys know something about this video, I didn't talk much about the other parts other than the fighting game aspects of this game. And that's because I only see these games as fighting games. Yeah, I like the other modes, like for example, Melee. I really do like the adventure and story parts along with the special events and the trophies that come along with it. But like I said, I only play it for the technicality stuff like the wave dashing, L canceling, getting a read on your opponent. Those are the reasons why I play these games. And the same thing with Mortal Kombat. I do enjoy the story and the crypt, but at the same time, I play it because of the actual fighting elements of it. I only view these games as fighting games and nothing more, and I'll probably forever view them that way just because of how good the actual fighting part is to this game. Thank you guys so much for watching. I have a lot more video ideas that I wanted to get out, but I haven't had a chance to probably edit them with school and also being sick for the last couple of weeks. But since I have more free time on my hand, I'm definitely going to be trying to record more and upload more stuff. Y'all take care.